TigerBeetle. 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 Let's go. TigerBeetle. TigerBeetle, let's go. My name is Brian and I'm here to hack on some TigerBeetle. On this stream, we are working on the Rust client for TigerBeetle. TigerBeetle is a high-performance financial database written in Zig. It has clients for all the languages you might want to talk to it with, but not Rust. And so this is a stream where we are building the Rust TigerBeetle client entirely on stream, front to back. If you tune in to every stream, you will see the entire Rust project, warts and all, mistakes and all. We've been doing this project for like 8 months, it seems. Maybe not quite 8 months, but a while. And I want to get it landed. Right now we are working on the final steps of the initial PR to land the Rust client for TigerBeetle. On the last stream, we did... Cool. On the last stream, we worked on the CI, and I thought it would be pretty easy, you know, copy paste some little bits of YAML and there you go. But no, the TigerBeetle CI script for clients is quite intricate. In the last stream, we spent the entire time just working through the script, trying to get the README to be correct, because the TigerBeetle clients all have a templated README, and that's done during the CI script. And so as a result, you know, every client is going to have this like fairly thorough README that shows you like how to do a walkthrough, you know, a basic connection with the client. And they're all very similar. All the READMEs are going to have like a fairly consistent quality level, but that's it's all templated. It's all in code. And so we spent like 2 hours plus on the last stream just getting like the Rust configuration pushed through that README generation. And all we're doing now is generating a temporary README where it's like, you know, to do. Because what I really want is to get the testing in place so that the Rust client continues to build in the future. And once we can get the CI testing in place, we can land it and be pretty happy with it for the time being. I'm messing with my mic here. This is the part of the stream where I make excuses for why I haven't streamed in the last, you know, X days, where X is probably like 17 right now. But you can fill in the blanks, you know, whatever your favorite excuse is. First thing, let's go look at the PR. I'm not gonna read any of the PR. I'm just gonna, you know, show you to remind you and me where this PR is. All right, so this is our PR. You can see we made the initial PR January 27th. So it's a very long-lived PR at this point. Today being April 21, 2025. And I believe I've gotten some notifications about new comments on this PR, but I don't want to get bogged down in that today. I just want to push through the CI stuff. All right, let's go to the code and just remind ourselves how all this works. See what our status is. And at some point, we're probably going to need to rebase this because it's been a while again. Or maybe we'll do a merge. See here, all these little dots are just kind of like work in progress commits. Maybe the first thing to do is, well, let's look at the diff against this commit and just remind ourselves what is going on here. I'll do a get diff stat. And so there's a lot going on here, but most of it is in this samples directory. And this is all part of that README templating. You know, it's pretty sophisticated, but I don't care about any of this right now. I don't care about documentation for this program at all. Like, this initial PR is not the final production quality release. It's just to get the thing in tree and get it tested. So I don't care about any of this documentation stuff. You see here the scripts that are involved. You know, all TigerBeetle scripts are written in Zig. This is the CI script, which in turn uses the client README script. This README is generated. And then Rust has a tiny little CI module that kind of provides Rust-specific dependency injection to the main CI script. Same for this docs module here. So I think we need to do, the thing that I think we need to do right now is remember how to run this. So I'm just going to check my history and see if there's nothing useful in my history for some reason. Oh, that's very strange. This machine like had a spontaneous reboot recently, so I might have lost a bunch of history. Probably it's a Windows machine, so probably it just did a system upgrade or something. But I don't seem to have any interesting shell history. So I'm going to say bzig build run CI something. See if that gets us. See if that gets us there. And again, all I want to do today is just push through getting some CI stuff done. Okay, build run CI would go here. This is the Zig command. This is the command to our build script. Yep, a lot of building. I would start like talking, just chit chat about some anecdote, but this build script is, the build is going to finish before I can say anything useful. So I can just like say nothing for 30 seconds. What do we got here? Okay, unknown subcommand. Let's see if this will give us the subcommands. This is the problem. I don't want to run, that's running TigerBeetle. I want to run the build script. Trying to figure out how to ask the build script for help. Okay, here's all of our targets. These are, I think all of these are just custom targets in the TigerBeetle build script. And scripts might be it. Script CI probably. So if we say build scripts, ask that for help, see if that gives us some useful help. The scripts is probably just all of these scripts that TigerBeetle has written in Zig. One of which is hopefully the CI script. There's no one in chat, and I'm feeling kind of lonely, so I'm going to turn up a little bit of background music. Okay, so build scripts. Unused function parameters here. That doesn't make sense. Oh, these are in the Rust CI module. Okay, that makes sense. This stuff hasn't been committed yet. This is just my own fork. So this is just functions that I have not filled in. That's probably what we're going to be doing today, hopefully. You can see here, build scripts, CI, language equals. I should probably add something here if it hasn't been added already. Let's go look at that build script. Where is the scripts? Yeah, you can see right here. Just have to manually say Rust right there. All right, let's run this again. Oh, gotta build it again. Building. I should not sing on stream. That'll be memorialized. It'll be recorded forever on YouTube if I try to sing. I'm sadly not very good at singing. CI language equals Rust. Seems like a good start. You can see here's a panic here. That panic is the stuff we need to fill in. This warning on empty sections is something we added last time. And I think, we need to submit that. I tried to improve the experience of running these scripts, or the experience of adding a new client last time. And as part of that, I just added extra warnings and explanation of what is going wrong in these scripts. But I think I'm not happy with the way I did this. This is the commit I added right here. Let's see. Let's just see what we did. You can see, if there's no new lines in this particular template section, which I'll show you in a second, we just kind of warn and keep going. But it's not very Tiger style, so I don't think that's really gonna fly. You know what, chat? I need a bio break. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I'll be back soon. What up? Okay, so, all right, now I feel better. Now we can really make progress. All right, I'll show you what's going on with this, this little fix I made last time to the TigerBeetle CI scripts. Source clients Rust. Not this. Samples. Basic. Nope. Two-phase. Nope. Walkthrough. This is it. Okay, so this README script, this template that applies to all the TigerBeetle clients, it expects there to be a sample for the client. So the client is Rust, and here we have a directory of samples. This walkthrough, the README like pulls code out of this walkthrough and splats it into the README. The template splats this stuff into the README. And so it's got this whole kind of ad hoc template system where it expects there to be like, lots and lots of code in between all these sections here. See on the right side. But I am not at all prepared to write these sections right now. I just want to get the client that's self-tested. And so what happened was that like the way the template was written, let's go open up that code. What is this? Client readmes. Scripts, client readmes. Is it doesn't tolerate any error at all. And so it was just throwing assertions with no real explanation of what those assertions were for all these empty sections here. And all I want to do is just get this to pass through the template and not worry about it for now. And so what I did here was I added some checking for the cases that it was not understanding. And then, I said, okay, I logged a warning and said, you didn't do this template correctly, but otherwise we're gonna, keep going. And so I made this its own commit with the idea that I'll submit this as a separate PR, but I don't think it's gonna fly because I don't think it's very Tiger style. Tiger style doesn't want to allow bogus stuff through its system. So I think the way to do this is just not make this a warning, make this a hard error, but at least with, a panic message that says something useful. Something like that. And then I can, modify these sections in a way that passes that system. I don't know if I've explained that well, but let's just kind of go take this whole thing and redo it. And what I think all I need to do, I was going to think about like reverting that commit, but I kind of want to keep that commit. I just want to change how it's done slightly. What line is this? 570. So here you can see like, if we don't find a new line, this code here is like checking, it's doing all kinds of ad hoc checks that like the contents of these sections look like they contain something useful. And so here I'm saying if there's no new lines, then this other stuff down here is not going to work. So just keep going. And then down here, it also says like if the section is empty, again, don't try to keep doing this stuff, just early return and get out of here. I think all I need to do really to make this more Tiger style is uncomment this and see what happens. So if we do this, this is probably going to hit an assert, and it's not going to make much sense. Like maybe this assert will probably hit. And what I think I want to do is just run this again. Let's see, do I have, yeah, run this. And now this should probably hit an assert. One of these asserts down here. And I'm going to already make this itself an assert, but like a hard error. Like right now it's not a hard error, but I think Tiger Style is going to want this to be a hard error when I submit this as a PR. So that's what I want to do. Let's look at this code up here again real quick. You can see here, we find two empty section fragments, then an empty section, and then something just goes super wrong down here. Yeah, this pop fails. So what I think I want to do here is say assert I don't want to just assert this, right? Because this is still, I hate these asserts that don't tell you anything. Maybe a zig assert has a attached error message. We might be able to do that. Let's see if we can do that. So here you can say assert section content.items.len not equal 0, and then maybe assert accepts like a string. Empty section. Let's try that. And really we could do it, just put it up here. Like that's the least amount of code that is going to help the next person that adds a client is what I want. Because I spent so much time just digging through this code, understanding what it wanted from me and what all these assertion failures meant. Okay, assert only accepts one argument. You can see right here. So I guess the zig assert doesn't allow a panic message. I'm going to try this up here though. I want to say, what is it, at panic, this. Let's try that. Really? Panic only doesn't have a string templating part feature? Oh, that's frustrating. How do you panic with a... Chat, I wish one of your Zig experts was in here can help me with this Zig question. I am not a Zig expert. Let's try this slightly different then and say something like that. Okay. This time it printed the empty section fragment and then panicked. Now we got to get it past that panic. And to do that, I can't just have an empty section, but I should be able to do something like this. Let's see if that gets past the panic. If you're just joining, we're working on the CI script for the... Hi, Nihil. We're working on the CI script for the TigerBeetle Rust client. I'm a little frustrated by this because the CI scripts for the TigerBeetle clients is pretty involved, and I'm really yak shaving. So what is going on here? It's not really what I expected to see. It got further here, and now it says error docs updated. I don't really know what that means. Test freshness. Why is that an error? I don't know. But I'm thinking it might just be related to, yeah, so seemingly like in CI, the docs shouldn't update. So this is a CI script that runs in CI, and part of that CI is building the client readmes. And so this previous error, probably what it was doing was saying, did the README actually update? Then that's an error under CI, because the READMEs should already have been updated prior to submission of the PR. Oh, Nihil, sorry about the music. Nobody was in here, so I was just having some background music. Yeah, I've got a pretty huge low-pass filter on the music. So I've got kind of very low music. Then I have slightly, this is not low-pass at all. This is just the music. And the concept originally was to like do some coding and do some music, but at this point I never do any music really. I also have my have a little synth set up so I can jam while I'm compiling. But in general, if there's people in chat and I'm, you know, saying something useful, I don't have the music fully on. Yeah, it could be awesome. The concept is great, but needs a lot of practice still. And I am not a gifted keyboardist. I barely can do anything on the keyboard. But I like the concept. Keep working on it. So this passes. What I've done here, throwing in these empty to-dos and these in this template, seems to work. So now I need to clean up this history because the commit history here is a disaster. Again, I have a little patch here that I'm going to submit separately from this PR in this client readmes. So I'm just going to add that. I'm going to say whip CI for that one. And then this one is just going to be other stuff. It's all going to be folded in together. And you can see this history here is a mess. All these dots are just little checkpoints, but this one here and this one here are kind of a standalone commit that I want to pull out into another PR. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean up this history and make it make sense again. I'll rebase onto this right here. And do an interactive rebase. And this supplemental commit is just going to go up here. And then all these are going to get squashed. And I want to change this as not a warning. I'm going to say better error on empty README template sections. And then all this stuff just gets squashed. Still working on that. And I'm going to push this to Rust Client CI. Force push. So, anyhow, today I'm just trying to power through this CI and get it finished tonight. Let's again look at what we have in this last commit. Stat. Okay, this is all CI stuff. This, not sure. Let's look at that scripts directory. Okay, we're adding Rust, adding Rust. That's everything, just adding Rust. Makes sense. Okay, let's run it again. That's not it. Build, that's it. So we've gotten past the README template. And we've gotten kind of a garbage template that just kind of passes the templating system's assertions. And I don't care about the README. I'm just trying to get the testing working on CI. So now we're finally pushed through the README stuff, and we're going to see what's going on with the testing. There's going to be a bunch of stuff we need to fill in. So I already know within the Rust directory, we have these two zig files right here that are part of this CI script. And there's going to be, to-dos to fill in here. And this docs is part of that README templating. And you can see here the configuration for this README template system is pretty gnarly. Just lots of goop to fill in. Just lots of text goop to fill in, and hopefully it all gets splatted out into the right places. Not loving it. Not loving that at all. All right, so here's our error. And it's in Rust CI Zig, line 10. It is not that one, tests. All right, so now we're at the point where we can try to run these tests. And I don't know what this script wants, but we can go look at the Go CI script for an example. So probably it's just running whatever is appropriate for that language. And we have some kind of thing here called shell. We have a little kind of command runner helper here apparently in TigerBeetle. And I've already imported that. See if there's anything here that is going to really help me. We're going to have to shell exec something. The shell, we've already got a shell. Hopefully this has a current working directory already set to the right directory, hopefully. And really we should just be able to shell exec whatever we need to, like this cargo stuff, cargo test. Do I even remember what we need to test here, though, is a pretty good question. Nihil, I do not myself tend to all the clients. I'm kind of I'm just doing this Rust client, and I'm kind of exploring how all the TigerBeetle clients work and learning through it on stream. Other people have written all the other clients. And maintaining the TigerBeetle clients is doesn't seem super fun because, everyone has to have its own language specific environment set up. And, that all is done on CI, but I haven't attempted to, for example, test every TigerBeetle client on one local VM. Like getting the Java, the Node, the Python environments all set up perfectly seems like a nightmare. So right now I'm just doing the Rust client and letting the CI handle everything else. And other people have developed all this infrastructure, like this CI script we're working on. Somebody else did this. I am not full-time on TigerBeetle. Right now, this is most of what I'm doing on TigerBeetle. It's just this Rust client. Probably, I'm just going to kind of guess. We need a shell exec, cargo test, all. That is probably a good start. Let's see what happens if we do that. Yeah, and one of the reasons I like to have the music is because of the compile time. But at the same time, the compile time is it's slow enough that it's just awkward sitting here on stream, but it's fast enough that there's not enough time to do anything else. Turn on the music and jam. Oh, compile's over. No time to jam. What is going on here? Is this an infinite loop? Oh, maybe that shell is not piping. It's not maybe not piping standard error to the terminal right now, so we're not seeing what's happening. Yeah, I guess so. The Rust build times, I guess that's a comment. Those didn't want to have to sit through the Rust build times. Like Rust has slow build times notoriously, and TigerBeetle is written in Zig. But I'm actually finding that TigerBeetle's build times are not special. What is going on right now? I'm pretty dubious of what's happening. I wonder if we can ask this shell type to output what it's doing here. What's the deal with the plan 9 and a snap fuse? I guess you're asking about whatever's in my H-top, and I'm probably not going to be able to explain it. The snap fuse, this is an Ubuntu VM, so I'm running on WSL. This is an Ubuntu VM, so snap fuse is definitely related to Ubuntu's snaps, its application packaging system, but more than that I don't know. Plan 9, I have no idea what the Plan 9 executable is or what it is doing on this computer. Doesn't have a man page. It's not even a command on the path. Huh. Yeah. Very curious, Nihil. I have no idea why there's a Plan 9 executable running on this VM. Hopefully it's not an indication that I'm pwned. All right, I'm skeptical of what's going on in the script. It doesn't seem like it's doing anything. Let's do some debug printing. Stud debug.print. Let's see if it gets through here. Run it again and see. This shell exec, maybe this cargo test, maybe this is not in the correct working directory. All right. There's a thing here called shell, collection of utilities for scripting. Can we change how standard out and standard error are piped? Project root. Oh, I didn't. I do this all the time. Forget to add this little extra arguments to any Zig string templates. Current working directory. So it does maintain a current working directory. Destroy. Let's go up to the main CI script and see how it creates this shell. Okay, so here's the first print line. So it's sitting there in the shell doing who knows what. It executed this far. Let's do something else besides cargo test. Let's just, check that the shell does something useful. Let's say echo hi. And again, I want to open up the CI scripts and see how it configures this shell. Main. All right, shell seems to already exist before main is called here. So this must be in scripts.zig. Look for shell create with an allocator. That's it. CI shell. Okay, so that's not setting the current working directory here at all. Maybe I'm responsible for doing that. Let's go look at the Go again. Copy path. Shell current working directory. Current working directory. Nope. Maybe ci.zig here sets the CWD. Validate release, main, run test. So it doesn't change the CWD up here. Okay, so here it ran the shell script, but no output. So this shell utility, the shell helper, does not show us the output, which is, again, kind of annoying. I would like to see what's going on. Maybe cargo test is, let's print the working directory. Let's see how that goes. Again, I'm just trying to understand what this CI script does and what it wants from me as I'm adding this new client. Let's also go over to the Rust client directory and just remember what a successful cargo test should look like. Cargo test all. And there's a complication in here because okay, this was going pretty fast. That shouldn't just be hanging forever. Shouldn't just hang forever. But there's a recursive call back to the TigerBeetle build system within the Rust build script. And I'm thinking maybe there's a deadlock here. Like maybe the Zig build system holds a lock to ensure that it's not being run in parallel on the same project. And this script right here is run as part of the build system. So I'm thinking maybe there's a deadlock here. And if that's the case, that's a real pain in the butt. Because that means I'm going to have to restructure. I'm going to have to restructure the Rust build script to make that work. Let's just check that hypothesis and go. Oh, Chad, I'm just so bummed out about this. This is just CI. All I wanted to do is just, get these tests set up and working. Clients, Rust, build script. Like we're so close. Like I wrote the whole program and now I'm just trying to debug this build script. All right, somewhere here it recursively calls the TigerBeetle build script. So let's just comment that out. Build TigerBeetle here. Let's just say return OK. So we're not going to re-invoke Zig again. This would explain why none of the other clients have their build scripts set up the way I set up mine. Like all the other clients, you have to like kind of pre-run a Zig build to build the CI, or to build the TigerBeetle client library, a static library written in Zig. And then all the clients are bindings to that library. So every other client, you have to go, run a Zig build script to build that static library, and then you go run another command inside like a Go specific build command. But I set it up so that like you just run cargo build and it goes and finds TigerBeetle and runs the TigerBeetle build. But now that we have another layer to that where we're running the TigerBeetle build, then the Rust build, and the TigerBeetle build again, seems to be a problem. You can see this completed. Oh, I'm not running cargo test over here. Let's run cargo test. Cargo test dash dash all. See what that does. Reminding myself what is going on here. So this is on the right hand side, this is the Rust build script. And I'm building, this is invoking the TigerBeetle build script. And for some reason I'm building 3 targets. All right, this install is used by testing, but I don't know why I'm still building the C client. I feel like this doesn't actually need to exist anymore. Yeah, at least, yeah, nihil. I know I'm complaining about this, but like this is this is development. You dig in and you figure out what's going on and you solve the problem. It's just that like it's a surprising number of problems to solve in setting up the CI right now. All right, let's look at HTOP and see if there's cargo is doing anything. I'm not seeing a lot happening over here. Oh, something's going on here. Okay, there's something happening. Not using a lot of CPU power to do it though, but something's going on. Let's see. Oops. Oh, clicking on the screen didn't help. I'm still not convinced anything useful is happening. You can see something is running there. Occasionally it comes up to the top of the command list in HTOP. But 0% CPU, 0% memory. Stuff is happening here. Yeah, I really wish this shell exec would print what's going on. It's kind of frustrating. I think maybe we have to go modify that to do something different. So I ran shell exec, echo, function exec, runs the given command. Can I run exec with options? Stood in. So I can pass something as stood in, but I can't tell it to exec stood out, so I can have it return stood out. But all I wanted to do is pipe stood out and stood error straight back to the terminal. And right now this utility here seems to be capturing stood out and stood error. And I can't tell what it's doing. Can't tell what it's doing. Pretty sure it's not doing anything though. Frustrated, y'all. Exec sig, exec raw. Turn, stood error, stood out. Spawn, maybe spawn will do it. Okay, here. Let's do a spawn here. Option struct. This is getting closer. And then there's the command shell. Argument order on this one seems strange. Yeah, it is. I mean, my immediate impression of this module is that it is very rough and ready. Like it does the task that it was written to do, but maybe not super elegant. Also, not super well doxed. It does have some documentation though, that's good. I am betting that MattClad wrote this because he has written other things like this in the past. He loves this type of abstraction. This kind of like a type for acting like a pseudo shell, maintaining your current working directory and environment variables and executing commands in a lightweight fashion. I've seen him write code like that before, so I'm blaming him for this. But this spawn function, the order of arguments here is not the same. Okay. Yeah, it's a little confusing. Anyway, I'm hoping this spawn function will let me execute this subcommand while also routing stood out and stood error to the terminal. And that way we can see what is actually happening with this command. So the first argument to spawn is an options, and the stood out behavior, stood error behavior, we need to set it to something. This is something from the Zig standard library that I don't know. I'm gonna have to go look that up. But I'm guessing it's gonna be something like inherit, probably. Like inherit standard output from the parent standard output. That's what I would expect. So I'm just gonna say stood out behavior. The syntax here, I don't remember. Again, I am not a Zig expert. We're going to have to go check out the Zig docs pretty soon. And then this next argument, this command, is a string. And then there's this any type command args. Probably that still. All right. Let's build and run that and see if it does anything. Expected comma. Maybe these are dots here. Oh, yeah, maybe those are dots there. Let's go check out the value of type process.child is ignored. Ah, okay. So I didn't get a compiler error on this inherit. So maybe I guessed correct that the variant name here is inherit. I'm kind of skeptical though. Maybe it's just silently wrong. We'll go look it up in a second. But it's also telling me that the shell.spawn returns something that can't be ignored. So this child, probably I need to wait on it or something. Child to run, child spawn, return child. All right, we got to look up the docs. Let's go look up the docs for this thing. And Ziglang. This is on, we are on 013 still. Zig standard library. All right, there's a, what is it called? Process? Stood process? Child. In it. Okay, it's just child. You create a child and then you spawn a child. All right, so these stood in, stood process child, stood IO, dot ignore. Right now I'm looking for the, this thing. This is that enum that, inherit. Hey, I did guess right, y'all. So this should make all the stood out print to the terminal. And when we call spawn, no, spawn doesn't return anything, but this child, probably we need to just call wait on it. That looks like the thing to do. Dot wait. All right, let's go back over and try that. So this shell spawn returns a child. So we can say const child equals that thing, child.wait, and that might return an error. So I think we put a dot question mark. Let's see if that all builds. Thank you, Nihil. I figured out a thing. We're still deep into a yak shave though. Can't wait on a non-const child, so this is probably supposed to be a var. Yeah, unfortunately my mood has been pretty bad on these last couple streams dealing with the CI stuff. Yak stack, oh yeah. We got a big yak stack right now. Child, wait, expected optional. Okay, let's go look at those docs again. I don't know what this is saying. Wait returns a term. What is it? What is it? Hey, Nihil, do you know what this bang means here in the type signature? That means the return is an error, right? Yeah, it's just a standard notation for it. We return an error. And I already used a question mark, but it returns a error or a term. Yeah, it means it's fallible. I'm just blanking. I was like thinking should be a question mark here, but no, the bang just means could return an error. So this returns a term. That's fine, but why did this give us an error though? Expected optional type. Maybe this function we're in is actually not. No, this is a fallible function. We should be able to use a question mark. Maybe question mark is not the thing here. Did I forget how to do the... Maybe I just forgot how to do errors in Zig. Yeah, I did. As a try. I'm thinking in Rust, y'all. I'm thinking in Rust. Thank you, No Cyan. Yes, I'm thinking Rust. Bah, that's tough. That's embarrassing. This is all going to go on YouTube to live forever. All right, that ignored this. Okay, so you might notice I have a bunch of warnings in my Zig, which is not normally allowed. That's because I have my own compiler that allows warnings. And here is a new type of error that might be able to be a warning. Ignoring this return value. Although I don't think this is going to come up often enough in debugging to matter. But like I find it very useful when debugging and developing to just be able to ignore warnings forever and ever and ever. All the way until things get pushed to a PR. But this is another error that is potentially ignorable. But I think probably never really need to. It's much less common than the unused arguments. But I am just going to ignore this term. I don't even know what a term is in this case. Probably an explanation of how the process terminated if I were to guess. So no, Siam, if you're just joining us, I am trying to get the CI script to work for the Rust client. And just slogging through it like molasses. Every step of the way, there's some new, hey, okay. This is something. So, okay, this makes so much sense. So, this test step in the CI script wasn't printing the stood error, so we couldn't tell what it was doing, but this is what it was doing. It was sitting here just looping forever because it's not connecting to the server. That's helpful. So for some reason, our test failed to start the server. Oh yeah, this Nihil. There's so much debate about whether it's appropriate or not to have all these hard errors for unused argument warnings. And, I think everybody is very entrenched on their side. I know which side I'm on. I think it's just untenable to just be dealing with those warnings all the time. Okay. So something is not working here. This test is supposed to be running the server. This is the server is saying stood in is closed, exiting. That is interesting. So the test run through cargo, runs the TigerBeetle server, and then connects to the TigerBeetle server. You can see this is creating this database, and then here the server is starting, and then it immediately says stood in closed, which just seems very suspicious to me because we've been doing all this messing about with how stood in, stood out, and stood error being piped around. So maybe something we're doing up, several processes up is messing with stood in a way that the server is not liking. But this is super frustrating. Let's see what it looks like again when we're just running cargo test. Oh, there's so much going wrong here. Because remember, we also had to mess with the build script because we hypothesized there was a deadlock here in the build script. Let's go pop the yak stack and go reevaluate this hypothesis about the deadlock, because I think that might not be true. Now that we can see what is being printed during the test. So in our build script, we just short-circuited the TigerBeetle build because we hypothesized that the recursive zig build was deadlocking. Let's see if that's actually true or not. I can see there's more people showing up in chat. You come at the worst time. I'm having a horrific time with this code right now. We were trying to get the CI script to work for the TigerBeetle Rust client, and it's just, okay, so that previous hypothesis was wrong. There's not a deadlock between the recursive invocations of the build. The test is running, it's just that the server terminated early for some reason. Why, though? All right, let's go again, remind ourselves what it looks like when it works. So here's the non-working one. You can see after these warnings are okay. These are just saying you're configuring things wrong for production. But then immediately here the server said, I don't have a stood in, so I'm exiting. But in the working test, it does the warnings, and then it proceeds to go, do stuff. So I'm wondering if this ignore, where are we? The stood in behavior, if we could configure this in a way that I don't even understand really what is going on here with the server and stood in. But it seems very suspicious that we have been messing with the standard IO, and the problem within our server is related to standard IO. So I'm going to say .stood in behavior equals something else, and just see what happens. I'm kind of at a loss here. I have clues, but I don't really have any convictions about what's going on. While that's building, I'm going to go check out the docs again for this Zig child type. All right, so stood.io. Options for this are inherit, ignore, pipe, or close. Pass a null stream. So this is the default, I think. But I don't know what exec is doing. Remember, we switched from exec to spawn in this custom shell type. None of these scream at me that one is obviously more correct than the other. And I honestly don't even know why the stood.io for the Zig build script or the Zig CI script would be related to the standard.io for the Rust test harness. They're pretty disconnected in time and process space. Okay, so this worked. Huh. So just on a hunch, I changed stood in behavior to inherit. Don't clap for me, Neil. I don't even know what I did. This is not one of those bugs where you oftentimes, you fix a bug just by typing stuff and eventually it fixes it. And this is one of those. I don't even understand what happened here. That's frustrating. And look at this. This didn't even fail either. Yeah, everything worked. Why did this work? But if we use exec, it doesn't work? Let's run this one more time to see how fast it goes. Remember before, we switched this from spawn to exec, or from exec to spawn, so that we could see the output. And with exec, it was just hanging. Maybe it's because of the stood in routing. Let's see how exec treats stood in. Exec inner. Exec inner. All right, so exec inner Exec enter is much more sophisticated. It's creating another thread to deal with stood in. Yeah, no, Siam, that seems to be the case. Like that stood in, maybe pass all the way to cargo test. And like maybe I could fix this within the Rust tests by, severing that connection from the stood in from the parent process and creating a separate stood in for just for the tests. There's a very spooky action at a distance thing going on here. I'm sure people who are like Unix gurus would probably be like, yeah, of course this is what's happening. Stood.io is pretty complicated stuff. Child, current working directory, dot, child spawn, okay, called spawn, stood in behavior, else ignore. Yeah, it seems like maybe the place for this. That's an interesting question, no Siam. Maybe cargo test just has a command line that'll do something about that for us. Cargo test, help. No capture, quiet. Nothing really obvious to me. But what I'm thinking, real quick, we could go back to using exec. Now, if we go back to exec, it's still not going to work. The problem has got to be fixed in the Rust test runner, I think. It is strange, though. All right, let's go try to just mess with the Rust test runner. I've never run into anything like this before in Rust. This is new to me. Usually the Rust test runner is kind of has that just worky quality. But this is a very customized test runner. So here I'm doing a spawn, and here I'm piping stood out, and probably I can do something right here within the Rust test runner with stood in. It's interesting that the server the TigerBeetle server wants stood in to be open for reasons that I don't know. But as soon as stood in is closed, the server shuts down. So right now here, without doing anything special, it's just inheriting the stood in stream from the parent, I assume. Let's go look at the Rust process spawning documentation. That's not the right. Stood.rs. Niho, what do you mean by an unwrapped repro? Am I looking for an unwrapped repro? All right, stood in from, let's look at this stood in function. This is command stood in configuration for standard input. Defaults to inherit when used with spawn. Defaults to piped when used with output. Yeah, it inherits by default. And so we can give it some other, let's just make a best guess of what other values to pick here. Stood.io. All right, the options are piped, inherit, null, or something that is unstable. What does piped do? A new pipe should be arranged. This is if nothing else works, this should work. Just set up a new pipe. But I actually don't know how to do it. Stood in, studio, studio null. Spawn. What does it mean for a new pipe should be arranged? Piped. Piped. Stood out, piped. Can stood in be piped? Stood out, inherit. Child stood in, take. Stood in pipe, stood in take. All right, when it says should be arranged, it means, I think it means the command object will arrange for a new pipe. Okay, let's go mess with that. Yeah, I mean, it seems like this thing would have shown up before. Like, certainly I've run. That's what I thought it meant, nihil, but after looking at the docs, I don't think that's what it means. Like, it sounds like you should arrange to connect the parent and child process. But I think this should is probably wrong here. I think it's a new pipe will be arranged, because if you look at the example down here, you call spawn, get a child, and then on the child, there's like a pipe you can take out of the child. I think the docs are just a little bit imprecise there, I think. Let's go make a change to this Rust code.stood in stood.io. Let's just try with null and see what happens, but presumably the server is not going to like that because it likes to be it likes to have stood in open. Yeah, okay. Hated that. But if we say piped, I'm just reading everything else I've done here. Serve. I think this will create the pipe for me, and it's just going to sit around doing nothing, which seems fine. Okay, that worked. Now that we've done that, can we go back over let's switch this back. My fork of Zig also has block comments for debugging right here. Though I haven't, the build I'm using here does not have block comments though. Comment region. Okay. Try. All right, going all the way back now. Shell.exec cargo test all and empty options. This is going to work. This is going to work. So assuming this works, we can probably also add a cargo format step and a cargo clippy step, and then move on. It worked. Okay, we debugged. So as annoying as it was, we did succeed in debugging this thing. All right, and I can just that in here. And let's again go remind ourselves how to do cargo format here. Presumably cargo format is clean right now. Yep. There's an argument to cargo format. Programming notepad. Yeah, I mean, there's a big difference between programmers who are using like pretty naive text editors and those that are using IDEs. Like a lot of times I feel like more and more language designers are saying, well, if you have a good IDE, then it's going to handle this case. But like not everybody uses an IDE. Like if you're in a good IDE, it'll just maybe make all the adjustments for you for unused stuff. If it's very sophisticated or moderately sophisticated. But I'm not in a sophisticated IDE. Yeah, another yak bites the dust. All right, where are we now? We're gonna make progress tonight. Right, I'm reminding myself cargo format. There's a flag to cargo format that says like error if you reformatted. I don't remember what it is though. Check, it's gotta be check. So here we're gonna do also cargo format check. And then let's see how cargo clippy feels. This should just work. Like if you go back and look at the Rust or the Go configuration here. Actually, shell exec stood out. Okay, yeah. I'm assuming that these are gonna like panic if they fail, but I'm not sure. Surely these just panic if they fail. I was wondering why the Go case is so involved. Go test. Types, go test. Okay, here's cases for all those walkthrough examples that we have not actually filled out and don't do anything yet. Remember, every single client has to have enforced by the CI system 4 entire project examples that I have to go back and write at some point, which, that's good. Docs are good, but I wish I wasn't having to deal with them at this stage. Okay. Clippy is not happy right now. That's interesting. I wonder if I upgraded the toolchain or just... Anyway, we need to run Clippy probably with more stringent like warnings as errors. How do I do that? Cargo Clippy. Deny all, maybe. Cargo Clippy. Unexpected argument. Clippy all. Okay, that's what we need to run. I'm going to say cargo Clippy. Deny Clippy all. And let's go ahead and fix these while we're at it. This is lib.rs. 185. Useless conversion to the same type. Consider removing. Okay, I buy that. Many streams ago, we made some simplifications right here. And I guess I forgot to rerun Clippy. I probably shouldn't be doing this with a dirty workspace. I should have committed before I did this. But hopefully it'll work out. Line 247. Oh, there's even more stuff Clippy doesn't like now. Let's commit. Let's not screw up what we've already succeeded at. Oh, there's not a lot going on here. We don't need to commit. Clippy. 185. So there's even more stuff here. Try 2vec. Okay, so what it's saying here is that we are collecting into a vector from a slice, and before there was a conversion involved that involved creating iterators and iterator adapters, and none of that iteration matters anymore. We're just converting a slice to a vec. .207. Line 227. Line 247. Get rid of that iter. And in fact, let's leave this here for 1 second, make Clippy unhappy, and let's go run this CI script. See what it does when Clippy's not happy. Okay, something happened. All right, that looks about what you would expect. Clippy complained, and there was some kind of error. Great. Now let's go make Clippy happy and do the same thing. Okay, that all seems to work. And again, our commit history is, we'll figure it out later. Push all this. All right, now let's see where we are. I think there's one more thing in this script that has to be filled in. And I'll show you that in a second. I think this command is finally going to work though. This is the thing we've been working on for 4 hours total at this point. 2 streams. So slow. Just seeing how many cores we're using. One core. I have 32 cores on this VM. We're using one of them. Right, this is gonna work. Got to fix these warnings here because that won't pass CI. So this validate release function right here, I think we got to go do that still. I don't know what it is. I think we got to do it, but I'm not sure. All right, so CI for Rust, this allocator we're not using. How do I ignore this? I think this is the only way to do it. I think that's the only way to do it. Let's run that again to make sure that is the right way. Yeah, I do complain about that aspect of Zig, the unused arguments and unreachable code. I don't think it's very good in Zig. There's stuff I like about Zig, and there's been a lot of really good stuff recently hitting Hacker News about Zig, so I'm hoping that's momentum. Alex had a really cool blog post recently about Zig's comp time. There was some unusual noise here just now. Okay, this all looks correct. Let's figure out what this validate release is for. Maybe we don't need this? Who calls validate release? No ignore. Let's look explicitly in our GitHub stuff. I'm just trying to figure out right now. Yeah, I have heard good things about Andrew's streams, about Zig. I know he's been working on async recently, which I am excited to see what he comes up with. CI, that's not it. Workflows. CI. So again, in the CI, all that's going to happen is it's going to call CI language Rust. But there's this other thing, release and release validate. CI validate release. What is this? Let's run it and see if it makes any sense. CI validate release. So for Go in validate release, oh, okay. So this is like downloading the published, well, not. In Go, you just get your dependencies directly from GitHub. So maybe there's no publish step for Go. But this is kind of like creating a new project using the Go bindings and seeing if they work. For Rust, though, we're not going to release the Rust bindings yet. They're not done. Let's see how the... Okay. Bunch of secret tokens here for publishing things. GitHub tokens. And this release. Build scripts release. We're not setting up the release script for Rust right now. We're setting up the CI script for Rust. So I think oh, this is expecting me to have the GH command locally. Let's go again, look at the ci.zig script, and look at validate release. I'm guessing it's going to iterate over all the clients among other things. It's going to do all kinds of stuff not related to the clients. And there's probably a client step, yeah, right here. So for every client, it's going to go validate the release. Yeah, so this will panic if we just leave it like this. So for now, I think the thing to do is just leave this empty, because the the Rust client is not going to be released as part of the release automation. And so there's nothing to validate. And then again, we have to explicitly ignore all these things. This is fine though. This is like, for production code. We need some documentation, like why aren't we using these arguments? That's fine. I believe in that. It's just during development that I hate it. Okay, let's run this one more time, make sure it all builds, and I think we're almost there. Clean up this history and push it up to the PR, ask MatClad to review it. Getting close. Looks like it's going to build. So I was saying, yeah, this commit right here, I'm going to pull that out into another branch and submit that as a separate PR. Run. I have lost the command. That's the command. I lost track of what command was used to run the CI. This should work. Yeah, it's doing something. Okay, it worked. Okay, now let's rebase this stuff off of this one. And just reset onto this one. Git reset. This is all of the changes we made for this CI stuff. Add Rust client to CI. And because we changed a bunch of Zig, we probably need to run some Zig specific tidy scripts. So I can say bzig format. Zig format's happy, seemingly. And then we can run the TigerBeetle tidy script, which is called tidy. We run the test suite and then filter it to tidy. I think we're almost done. I'm going to submit 2 PRs right now. Just get it over with. We'll submit this little PR for this tiny change to the CI script, and then we'll push this up to the big Rust client PR. Okay, so tidy is not happy with the Rust CI. Error built-in is dead code. Error built-in is dead code. Ah, okay. That's interesting. So Zig itself, Zig's analysis doesn't find, so one of the things I don't like about Zig's dead code analysis is it doesn't work everywhere. Like these top level items are not discovered by Zig. But TigerBeetle has a script that figured out that built-in isn't used. Log is dead code. assert is dead code. That's all going to have to come back later as this script gets filled in. Temp TigerBeetle is dead code. Wonder what that is. We'll bring it back later. Okay, commit all that. And now we'll rebase. Nope, git reset. I already did the swash. Git commit all amend. And we'll push that. And now we'll start a force push. And now we'll start another branch. Git checkout branch. We'll call this CI script sections error, whatever. And then here we'll just probably reset onto main. We'll fetch the most recent main. Git reset origin main. And then we'll cherry pick that one commit. Git log person Rust client CI. This commit right here. Git cherry pick. Well, let's go submit this one little thing. There's a stray space right there. Client readmes. Okay, that seems fine. And let's run this just to make sure it builds. Let's see if we can do run the CI for the C language. Reading this diff because I'm going to have to explain it in the PR real quick, or very soon. This seems like it's going to work. I'm just going to go ahead and push it. Git push person CI script sections error. C isn't an option here. I'm just wondering which of these options is actually going to work on my machine. Let's try Python. Let's go ahead and submit this PR. TigerBeetle. Oh, I'm not signed in. Why am I not signed in? I don't believe you. I don't believe you. No, not signed in. Okay, chat, I'm going to need to take 30 seconds here and figure out the situation. Be right back. All right, create a pull request. This diff looks simple. All right, so I just gotta, probably this will just be accepted, but gotta make a reasonable attempt to justify myself. When adding the Rust client CI, I got stuck for a long time setting up the README template. This change, what does this do? Where I initially created empty sections, empty code sections in the to be copied into the README. Maybe that makes sense. This change makes the error more explicit when the sections are empty. Okay, wait. Sorry. I'm having a hard time being lucid right now. Empty sections are not allowed. I better put a reference here. Whoever's reading this might not actually know what I'm talking about. Let me go back to the code real quick. Probably not everybody has actually touched this. Client template stuff before. For reference, every client has sample projects, and some of that content is copied into the client README. The Rust client sample currently looks like well, that didn't copy beautifully at all. Why did that happen? That's weird. I just have to manually edit this. So I mean, it's very hard to talk on stream and write about what you're talking without just like literally saying the words you're writing on screen. I don't know, maybe that's better than not saying anything. And look, I think Rafael Battiati is probably the one who's done most of the client work, so I'm going to ask him to review. I think I need to make him an assignee under the TigerBeetle process. I don't even... Yeah, reviewers and assignees, similar things, but I think TigerBeetle, the process is you assign somebody and they will come pick it up. And hopefully what I've written there is sensible enough for him. It's a pretty simple change. But I was not feeling very lucid while I was writing it. Kinda zonked now. We're gonna be wrapping this up pretty soon. Okay, back to the main code here. I'm gonna check out Rust client, CI, and now we can rebase this commit out. We just submitted that as a separate PR. Let's do an interactive rebase and remove it. And then one more time, I'm gonna run that command and make sure it still runs. Now I gotta decide whether I'm going to merge with origin. I kind of think I'm not going to right now. I just kind of want to wrap this up. Yeah, get one more round of review, make sure the CI is all working, then I'll do the merge. Y'all, I need a haircut bad. I think this is gonna work. So I've been working on the Rust client CI branch, but my actual branch is Rust client. So I can check this out to Rust client. And now I'm back on the Rust client branch. And I'm gonna push. Now let's go get that PR and we'll go tell our reviewer what we've done. All right, we got a new comment from our reviewer. Okay, I've filled out the CI script for Rust. It runs test, format, and Clippy. One caveat, I have only stubbed out the code for filling in the README. It's a big task and I don't think we need it yet. Let's see, how do we get... One expected check, core pipeline. I clicked the update button on the merge. I don't know if I should have done that or not. Just had GitHub auto merge it. It seems like it's gonna work. Rust, cargo test. How do we get the CI to run the test? Do we have to get a positive review? Maybe they will continue. Like core pipe, there's more than one pipeline for the CI, I think. But maybe after this one finishes, more will run. I'm not sure. Anyway, I think that's good enough for today. We've accomplished the thing. We did exactly what we said we were going to do at the beginning of the stream. So let's wrap up. Again, my name is Brian Burson on GitHub, BRSON. My socials are there. I do this stream occasionally, irregularly. I usually announce it on Slack 10 minutes ahead of time. And that's probably it. Sometimes on my Mastodon account. But it all shows up on the YouTube, TigerBeetle YouTube. There's a whole playlist there with 30-something of these episodes if you want to listen to my voice for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Otherwise, it's been fun today. I appreciate all the chatters showing up and helping me. That is always rewarding. I'll see you guys next time.